D-Man Dennis Manoloff is here from WTAM 1100. How are you, D-Man?
It's an honor and a privilege to be here, Les, as always.
Well, we spent more time today on the pre-show prep. We got up, instead of having lunch or breakfast, let's go over and do some pre-show prep.
Well, and the bulk of the pre-show prep, of course, Brown's coaching search. What else is new? You know?
What is taking them so long? Do they not know who they want?
You would think they would, but if you believe what they say about the comprehensive nature of it, and they want to go, cross all the T's and dot all the I's before they make a decision, then I guess you can understand how it's being, protracted. I will say this, though. They can argue they're the only one left standing, and there's decent candidates out there. So what's the rush?
Well, at this point, no. But
perhaps what they're saying.
Wouldn't you think at the beginning you'd have more choices out there, and they may be better choices that they missed out on?
I mean, ideally, I thought Ron Rivera was a really good fit for this team at this time. They desperately needed a disciplinarian, a voice, an adult in the room, if you will. But I'm going to give the Haslam's the benefit of the doubt here. I think that the timing of the Redskins firing Gruden and Rivera being fired, both in season,
right? So they could go to each other.
Gave Rivera and the Redskins the jump on the Browns, for example, who were still playing the season out and still had a chance for the wild card. So I don't blame them for Rivera. I would have liked to have seen McCarthy, but I don't know if McCarthy ever took the Browns seriously.
And the Browns also had to wait till the playoff teams were out. If there was a candidate on a playoff team, they had to wait till that team lost.
Sure. The point is, Les, there is still a group that is pretty formidable, you would think. But what have we learned by now? What should we have learned by now?
That formidable
Show
means...
me, don't tell me.
Right.
No matter how good they sound in the press, right? I'm getting rave reviews about Matt Rule's presser with the Carolina Panthers today. Oh, well, we've been down that road before.
We've had a lot of coaches win the press conference, by the way.
Exactly. Show me, don't tell me.
Well, how about if you and I show the audience what we think of what is left? Now, this is not necessarily saying who we wanted from the beginning, but basically what's left. All right, D-Man, let's take a look at your picks.
Okay.
We've got 3 for each of us. What do you have?
Yeah, I got, first of all, a close fourth is Eric-Bieniemy. Of the Chiefs. I think Bieniemy's a terrific candidate. I've read a lot about him and how well thought of he is in the league, but I had to leave him off because Brian only gave us a top 3.
You only had room for 3.
Stefanski, of course, mentioned by many, supposedly a deep Podesta guy. We'll see how that shakes out. His offense, or whatever hand he has in the offense, looked good against the Saints last week.
Where did Gary Kubiak come into the play here?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The question is, how much is Stefanski and how much is Kubiak, showing up in the whatever Kirk Cousins does well. But you have to believe that if Deep Podesta likes him, then he's going to get better than a puncher's chance. Supposedly he was the runner-up last year to Kitchens. Number 2 on my list was, I believe, Josh McDaniels. Honestly, I'd like to see him here, yes, but I have some questions. I do have some doubt. I wonder about exactly what went on in Denver. I wonder why it fell apart before it even started in Indianapolis.
Right.
But here's another one I mentioned, Les, in the pre-show meeting with you and Dave Bacon. Why is it the Giants tripped all over themselves for the special teams and wide receivers coach of the Patriots, Mr. Judge,
passing up his boss,
and basically said no thank you to Josh McDaniels?
Or did Josh McDaniels say no thank you to them?
Now, there is what you presented to me. Perhaps the Giants got word that McDaniels only had eyes for Cleveland. We can only feel so good about that, but perhaps that's the case. But if it's not the case, if McDaniels didn't let word out that he wasn't going to the Giants, why would you be so desperate to hire another guy on Belichick's staff not named McDaniels?
A guy
That
not
puzzles
many
me.
people heard of, by the way.
True. Of course, the league insiders will say he's great. Okay, fine, we'll see. And then number one is Greg Roman, the OC of the Ravens. I like him for many reasons, foremost of which is he was part of a really good offense. He built an offense around Kaepernick. He built an offense around Lamar Jackson. He's obviously a very bright offensive mind. He
knows the AFC North.
He knows the AFC North. He could work, I believe, he could bring the best out of Baker Mayfield. And as a bonus, I'm robbing the Ravens.
There you go. All right, let's take a look at what I came up with earlier today as we checked out my list. Number one, Josh McDaniels. I'm not even sure why, because of the questions you just brought up. I think that Denver's somewhat questionable, and same thing with Indianapolis. But McDaniels, a local candidate, and by the way, that should have nothing to do with the fact that he's from Northeast Ohio. Kevin-Stefanski, that's a name we heard about last year, and I just want to point that out to you. You mentioned Paul DePodesta. Where is he getting his power?
From
I mean,
Haslam.
has he done anything that somebody could say, look, this is what DePodesta did, and this is why he's doing such a great job? Can't do that.
Yeah, and Mary Kay's written a story about how that paradigm can maybe finally gets in place with DePodesta, Stefanski, and Andrew Berry that has been so desperately sought in Berea, where there's actually a chain of command.
You had Eric-Bieniemy as number 4. I got him for number 3. I think this is an up-and-coming guy, and before he gets till it passes him by, I'd like to see him get a shot.
Yeah, I agree.
Very highly recommended.
Andy Reid loves him, and he's definitely been a huge part of the Chiefs' success, and he deserves to be a head coach.
Okay, so you gave your top 3 of what's remaining. I gave my top 3. What do you think it'll be? What do you think Jimmy Haslam's top 3 will be, or top 1 will be, when it's all said and done?
I do believe that it depends on McDaniel's mood, shall we say?
Mood of the day. Mood du jour.
1 hour he might feel like being the Browns coach. The next one, the cynic in me is saying that McDaniels is going to have cold feet with Cleveland, and he's going to crawl back to his safe zone, which is Belichick.
Well, that's almost similar to what Belichick did with the New York Jets after he left Cleveland.
Yeah, it's not.
And McDaniels may say, well, if Bill did it and certainly got away with it, maybe I can do the same here.
And my sense is, though, McDaniels, if he is going to have second thoughts, is going to have them before he commits as far down the road as he did with Indy.
Right.
Because then, if you do that to Cleveland too,
you're done.
Then you're done as a head coaching candidate in the NFL, you would think. There's no way a team's going to want to do that if you've pulled the rug out from under 2 franchises.